here's Terry. Hi, we're recording. So for all of you who are joining us on the recording, hello. For those of you who are joining us live, hello. So happy to have you here. And I think what I want to do is just start out and do a quick check-in. Sarah and Laura, we already checked in, but I find it really helpful to just narrow it down to 2 emotions that you're feeling right now. I find that putting a finger on those emotions is a really good way of processing them, because often we're like, I just feel stressed, and stress isn't an actual emotion. It's a combination of emotions. It is, I feel sad and angry, or I feel guilty, and whatever it is. So sort of narrow in on what you're feeling in 2 words, and I'll just go around the circle and you guys can share. So Terry, thanks for joining us. I'm going to start with you, and I just muted you, but you can unmute and share 2 words about how you're feeling.
Stress, hurried.
Perfect.
Tired.
Thanks for fitting us in. We were talking about how this is self-care in the cracks, and sometimes that's where the self-care happens, is in the cracks. You have to fit it in. So I'm happy you're here.
Thank you.
Sarah, 2 words. I'll skip Sarah. I'll go to Laura. Laura, 2 words.
Is crabby? Oh, does crabby count?
Sure.
I feel like I've just been like really crabby, and I've been really overwhelmed.
Crabby and overwhelmed. Those are 2 really good words. So happy to have your crabby self here.
Me too.
Okay. Sarah, can you share with us, or are you? I know.
Yeah, no, I could. My screen went dead. I was like, oh my God, I have to log back in. Like, I haven't touched it in so long. I am feeling happy and energized.
Awesome. Perfect. Kara, what about you?
Peaceful and happy.
Oh, nice.
Because I just had a little baby power nap. Right before that, it was tired and cranky.
A little power nap, that works. I'm feeling really sore. My back is sore, which I know is not exactly an emotion, but I'm kind of cranky about the fact that my back is sore. And I'm excited to be sharing this with you. So I'm going to share my screen. And we've entitled this presentation, So You're an Empath. And maybe you don't know you're an empath. Maybe you do know you're an empath. I assume if you're here, you kind of know or have an inkling that you are an empath. And it's tips for the sensitive soul. So we're going to talk about what it means to be an empath. Kara and I are going to share our stories because we are both definitely empaths. We're going to talk about the struggles that we go through as empaths. And again, this may resonate for a lot of you. And oils for boundaries. And then we're going to do a meditation for boundaries. So the difference between being empathic and being an empath is that empathic or empathetic is an adjective. It describes showing an ability to understand and share the feelings of another. And this is something that can be taught, right? We can teach people to be empathetic, to relate to other human beings, and to understand their feelings. But to be an empath is a noun. It means it's a person with a paranormal ability to attune to the mental or emotional state of another individual. Cannot necessarily be taught, it just is. And Kara would probably argue with that because she teaches a class about really getting in touch with your paranormal abilities, with your superpowers. So maybe I have to erase that part, Kara, and say it can be taught, and Kara's the person to teach it.
Yeah, put that in the description. Only by Kara. I think that it's pretty accurate to say that it's something that most people are born with, and that it's something that you could develop to a certain extent. Maybe something like that.
Okay. So we're gonna work on this definition a little bit, but this is the technical definition I found when I looked it up. Kara, I would like you to tell us about your journey.
Yeah. So I am extremely sensitive. Empath wasn't a word back then. This is it's more current and common these days. So as a kid, I would absorb the energy and the emotion of the people around me, but nobody knew I was doing that. I didn't know I was doing that. I just had stomach aches and headaches a lot, like a lot. I'd have to go home sick from school all the time. There'd be certain people. And my mom started to like recognize, wait a minute, she has a stomach ache every time we're around this particular person, or when she's around a group like this. And then as soon as she gets in the car and we start driving, like she's physically ill and then she's all better. And she knew I wasn't faking it. I was too little to be a good liar. So she started to recognize something was going on. And I think she was pretty aware of this stuff when I was growing up, because she figured it out. She had to figure out what was going on with me. So it went throughout my life, me absorbing the world around me all the time. And finally, there was a point about when I got to like 18 years old that I took on more than I could handle finally, and it broke me. And I don't mean I was broken. I just mean like it broke the system that I had been operating in. And I fell into a really, really dark clinical depression. And I started searching for what's the cause of this, what's going on. And in the process of that, I spent about 6 years deep in, I lovingly call it traction. It was the years I battled depression. And it was also, I came at it from every angle. So I had doctors, therapists, and every medication that they ever gave me, which was every medication. And the whole time I was doing that, I was studying energy work and intuitive development. And I was understanding right off the bat, I started to see when I started studying this work, what I had been doing. So first I had to learn how to stop doing that, like turn all of these gifts off the best that I could and try to get some control over them because they were wreaking havoc on my whole life. And then heal all the damage that I had done by taking on the world around me to such an extreme degree. And then eventually how to harness the gifts and abilities that I have and use them in a way that it's helpful for me and the world around me instead of destroying or depleting myself. And that's how I got into this work and teaching. And it's been a beautiful journey.
Thank you. I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing.
Same.
So my story is, I had similar experiences as Kara did as a child, being really sensitive and being around a lot of energy and just getting sick out of nowhere. And like, for me, it would usually show up as like a cold or a flu. I would get a headache and then I would just be sort of out. And it was after I had a lot of outside stimulation, but didn't have any idea that that could have anything to do with being an empath or taking on other people's energy. And when I was 22 years old, I was teaching Pilates, and I had 2 clients who came a couple times a week, and their 16-year-old son was killed in a car accident. And they came back to doing Pilates pretty quickly after the accident. And I started to have dreams about their son, and I had met him once, but I was having really, really vivid dreams and memories of him. And I would wake up sobbing, and I was like, wow, like that's really strange. Like, where is that coming from? And my acting coach at the time was like, you're an empath. And I was like, I don't know what that is. What does that mean? But as he described it, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. And then I noticed that from teaching Pilates, I was touching people and I doing lots of adjustments and kind of massage and stuff on them. And I noticed that I started to pick up their emotions. I would know exactly what they were thinking about, or if they were having issues with their partner or with their job. These things would just pop out of my mouth of like, okay, so what's going on with your job? And they would be like, how do you know that? I'm like, your body is telling me that. Like, I can feel what you're feeling through your body. So your body's talking to me. So my acting coach taught me some techniques for draining off the energy because I was exhausted. Like I was having so many people come at me and I was touching them, and really like I'm the type of person who like will crawl inside of you to try to help you and try to work things out. And so I was exhausted, and he was like, you really need to drain off this energy and also make sure that you have some protection around you and that you're not just pulling it into your body, but you're actually able to drain it out too. So I met Kara when I was about in my 30s, I think. We figured that out this morning. I was around 30 or 32. And she wanted to teach this meditation class. And I was like, cool, like I'm into it. I'll try it. And like life-changing, and learned about my own superpowers, learned about so many other techniques that I could use for protecting myself and draining off energy, and still honoring my gifts and knowing where I could have boundaries. My son, both of them are wildly empathic too, but especially Lucas is just incredibly empathic. And so this class actually came about because he was having headaches at school. He was going to school and he was calling me almost every day. I have a headache, I need to come home. And as soon as we got home, he was fine. And again, I'm like, I know you're not lying about this. Like, I know this is a very real thing for you, but like, what is going on? Took him to the doctor, took him to the chiropractor, the acupuncturist, and finally was like, wait a minute, he's empathic. He has 30 kids that he's picking up energy on. And so I created this blend and I shared it with a friend of mine, and she was like, oh my gosh, will you create a class around this? So that's where this class came from, was from creating something to help Lucas manage all of the emotions and his empathy, and just getting more into it and knowing that there's other people who are like, I really identify as being an empath too. Can you teach me more? So, so that's where this came from. We're going to talk about, there's a huge list here, you guys, and you can kind of look through. I know you're, you all are doing stuff. So I'm going to actually maybe read it too so that you can absorb it that way too. Some signs that you're an empath is that you experience an inner sense of knowing. You're an effective listener. You get easily overwhelmed in public places. You can feel others' emotions, pains, illnesses, and stresses. Sometimes you take those on as your own. You experience mood swings and can come across as unpredictable and needy. You're really sensitive to TV, movies, and real life chaos. I can't, like, Kara's always like, is this a Kara movie? Like, because I can't take on too much energy from this movie. You get it. Are you prone to illness, disease, and physical pain? Strangers trust you and share intimate details of their life with you. I have another friend who worked as a bartender, and the stories that she would tell me about strangers sharing into, I was like, what? Wow, that's amazing that people will just tell you these things. She's like, it's exhausting. You feel constantly fatigued, prone to addictive behaviors, drawn to healing and holistic health and wellness, inherently curious and a seeker of the truth. You're interested in spirituality, drawn to ancient and indigenous cultures. You're interested in ancestral lineage. You're a quiet achiever and or a strong leader. Creatively talented, I have to move this out of the way. You love nature and animals. You believe in the cleansing powers of water. You need solitude. Actually, one of the first techniques that my acting coach gave me was to shower off the emotions. So I would take a shower and I would sort of like go around my body and let go of any energy that wasn't mine. So water is really, really powerful in cleansing other people's energy and cleansing your own. If there's something that you're experiencing as well and you need to just get rid of it, jumping in the ocean, taking a shower, taking some time, drinking more water can be really, really helpful too. We need solitude. We can get easily bored, distracted, and frequently daydream. You know, this is true of my kids. They're easily bored and distracted. We seek adventure through travel or spontaneous acts. We are sensitive to clutter, because things can hold energy for us too. And I'm going to talk about different kinds of empaths. Some empaths they just connect to things and the energy of things. So that can be a lot. You are a rule breaker. I definitely am a rule breaker. You have great enthusiasm and appreciation of life. You are a humanitarian, peacemaker, or mediator at heart. Lucid dreaming is really common. We are lovers and not fighters, because fighters usually hurt people. We don't want anyone to be hurt because it hurts us. We're visionaries, entrepreneurs, and problem solvers. Forgiving, sometimes to a fault. You have trouble standing up for yourself sometimes. You give more than you receive. You're a nurturer, but not an enabler. Often accused of living in your head. You have a strong moral compass. You have an extremely hard time breaking up with others. And that is definitely true. I've never actually really broken up with anyone. It's really hard. I've been broken up with before, though. So we're going to talk about the different kinds of empaths, because like I said, there are several different kinds. And so maybe some of it you don't resonate with, but some of it you're going to be like, oh, that's me. That's where my gifts are. And that's where I really connect to this. So claircognizance means that you have traits derived from both clairaudience, clear hearing, and clairvoyance, clear seeing, making them claircognizant. It's somebody who just knows. Kara, this is the kind that you are, right? You're really pretty claircognizant. So I always like it when you describe the different kinds of clear, all the different clarities.
Yeah, do you want me to go through the 4 main ones?
Sure.
So clairvoyant, that's the one everybody has heard of. And that's psychic seeing, clear sight. So that would be like, if you're really good at visualizations, if, we took you through a guided meditation, or we're going to today, if you see a lot, it's really vivid imagery, clairvoyant. Clairaudient is audible. So it's hearing. You might not be able to see anything perhaps, or you might hear really clearly. Sometimes it's in a different voice than your own inner monologue, but oftentimes it's your own inner monologue. So you're getting information via words. Clairsentient is really pretty much empathic. It's clear feeling. So they're the feelers of the world. And claircognizant is just this knowing. We call it an epiphany. Oftentimes, 1 second you didn't know something, and the next second you do. It comes. They're usually the people who, when I send everybody off, like, okay, do your meditation, and then, tell me when you're done. They're the ones that are like, close their eyes, and then they open them again. They're like, that's it. Because it's just so instant. And there's a few lesser known ones like clear smelling and taste and things.
Cool. Thank you. There's also an emotional empath. So that would be more the clairsentient, highly sensitive to the feelings of other humans. They have the capacity to connect with what others are going through even before those people open up. This is the kind of empath I am. I'm definitely emotional and can pick up on all the things that you're feeling all the time. I'm learning how to make space for if I'm not into that right now, that I don't have to take that on. There's physical empaths, which are highly sensitive to the physical sufferings of other human beings. We are receptive to wounded souls, and we are known to quite literally feel and physically take on the pain that others are going through. There are also precognitive empaths. So you have a very strong sense of intuition. You may have visions about events that have yet to happen. A telepathic empath can decipher and read someone's inner thoughts. There's the fauna empath, known for their capacity to understand the mental states of animals and to connect with their emotions. These people tend to like animals far more than they like human beings. And we've all met those people who are like, I'd rather hang out with my dog than hang out with other humans right now. And that's why, because they really have that deep connection with them. There is the geomantic empath. So someone who is known to have a deep connection with environments they find themselves in. If you find yourself in a castle or a church or a graveyard and you really have a lot of feelings about maybe what happened in those places, or you just have this deep connection, that's geomantic. A medium empath has established a deep and rooted connection with supernatural force or the deceased, can feel and hear the emotional output of the spiritual world. And then the psychometric empath has the ability to receive memories, energy, and detailed information from physical objects. So again, we were talking about clutter and how, even things have energy. So someone who is so more of a psychometric empath would have the ability to really take on a lot of the emotions from the objects and the experiences that those objects have been through. Kara, do you have anything else to add to that list? Because again, I know you work with a lot of people's gifts, and I feel like, especially after we chatted earlier today, that there are some things that list is missing.
Actually, it's pretty good. It's usually most people will fall somewhere in some blending of those. And then there will be the like really unique ones, like we were chatting with a woman today, and she sees everything in numbers. I was talking with someone else recently, and they're really good at the smell aspect. So, you would smell like the same brand of cigarettes that your great grandfather or your grandfather smoked when you were a little kid, and you like all of a sudden think of him, but you're alone in the house and there's no vents that would bring smoke, so you're smelling something that's not really there, and you're receiving information. So there's some unusual ones that people have, but I think those encompass like a lot of the normal ways that we do it. And most people, I would say, probably are unaware that they're doing those things, because it's just super normal to us, we think of ourselves as just being like really caring. Mm-hmm. And that's true. And it's because that have a natural disposition for these abilities that makes us really good at that.
Yep. I know too, when we did this class last time, there were a couple of people who were like, oh, that just described everything about me, or that just described my entire life. And like, they hadn't necessarily put their finger on being an empath yet, but when it was put to them that way, they were like, oh yeah, like now it all makes sense. So there can be some struggles in being an empath and being really sensitive. We have a tendency to isolate ourselves, because sometimes it's just easier to not be taking on everybody else's stuff. We can feel really hurt in relationships because we are taking on many different aspects, and we can tend to be really sensitive. And sometimes I feel like maybe it's not even directed towards us, but we feel something that someone else is feeling, and we can take that really personally. We can feel judged for our sensitivity, for just being too sensitive, of having people around us not understand that we really do feel things so much more deeply. And emotional imbalances, anxiety, depression are really, really common for people who are empaths. So it can also make us feel resentful of other people. And again, crave the company of animals over human beings. Animals are pretty okay with who they are. So they don't pass on a lot of their stuff, because they don't have any. And it can be really hard to discern what is actually ours and what is someone else's stuff. So I have gone through those periods of like, oh my God, like I feel so overwhelmed, and then being like, this isn't even mine. Like none of this is even my stuff. But the feelings and the intensity of it can be so huge that I will have to feel all of it until I go, oh, it's not mine. I don't have to do anything with this.
Can I tack on a cool little thing about that?
Yeah.
About the piece on like how sensitive we are to other people's, in relationships. So I heard Matt Kahn describe where this comes from in empaths, and it was the best description I've ever heard. So when we are little kids, little, we don't have an understanding yet that like our reality revolves around us and everyone else's reality revolves around them. We're only experiencing our reality, which revolves around us. So we're looking at the world through this lens of like, everything has to do with me. And when we feel people in our life have some emotion, like you walk into a room and like, your breath is knocked out of you because your dad's really angry. Our assumption as a little kid is like, it's because of me. Mm-hmm. Right? We assume everything is because of us. And so if you are highly sensitive as a little kid and you're looking around assuming everything is your fault, we can take on this, we sort of build this patterning where empaths have a tendency to assume like everything is about us, not in an egotistical way, but in a like over responsibility taking way. And then when people are upset around us, we assume it must be because I did something wrong. It's got to be because of me and I've got to fix it or whatever else. So if you have empaths in your life, one of the wonderful things to do for them is when you are struggling, even if you can't voice what it is or whatever, you're angry or whatever, just like, it doesn't have to do with you. Like, it's not you. I'm really upset. I'm just having a bad day. It's not you. Is one of the most beautiful things you can give to anybody around you who's super sensitive.
Yeah. And yeah, I can definitely say like there's been times when I've been with friends and they're struggling, and it's really hard for me to not be like, I must have done something, like I start to question every single conversation we've had, or, like even looks at, and so many times it has nothing to do with me. So I'm learning to let that go. Other struggles we can have are headaches. So that's a pretty common one. Exhaustion, confusion, just feeling off and not knowing why. Like just having taken on somebody else's stuff and being like, what is this? So we get exhausted and burnt out. We may go through life feeling hostile or used because we have no control over how someone's stress, pain, and emotional output makes our body feel. So that's why it's really important to understand if you are an empath, because it can burn you out really, really quickly. When you feel like you have to fix everything around you and all the people around you without giving, just staying in your lane and knowing that you're responsible for your own happiness and that you have control over it. So here are some things we can do to safeguard our sensitivities and to take back that control and that responsibility is decompress. Take deep and decompress throughout the day, not just like in the morning and at night, but like throughout the day. Take a deep breath. Use the oils as a neural touchstone, as well as their protective elements to safeguard your energy. So I often will tell people to set their phone to go off every hour and then take 1 minute to breathe. And it's even better if you can add an essential oil to do that, because our brain is connected to, our sense of smell is connected to that primal sense of our brain where we have emotion. So once we relate a smell to calming our system down, as soon as we smell that, we'll be able to calm down immediately. So if we don't have a second to breathe, we can still go, I'm just going to smack, put this oil on. Okay. And immediately your whole system will go, oh, I know this smell. I know this scent. I know this emotion. Practicing meditation. Again, this is a great thing to do with your oils, because meditation always leads us to a more relaxed state where we feel safe, where we feel protected, where our body can go back into rest and digest. And so using oils while you go through a powerful meditation will connect your brain and your body back to that primal space that you feel yourself in. And then know your triggers. Know how long you can be with people. If you're somebody who gets really triggered and it's hard for you to be with a lot of people for a long period of time, don't agree to host a 400-person party at your house. It's probably not going to go very well. Say no to things. If it feels like it's too much, it's okay to tell somebody no. And it's actually really respectful to tell them no. If you can't take it on, it's okay to say, I just can't do this right now. Know what to do in crowds. Stick to the sidelines. If you know lots of energy will overwhelm you, you don't want to put yourself in the middle of a mosh pit. If you know that you're really, really sensitive to a lot of energy, you might want to kind of stay to the sides, maybe stay in the back a little bit more. Eat to nourish your body and not to cover up your feelings. So oftentimes, our emotions have the same receptors in our gut as food. So oftentimes we'll feel something and we'll think, I'm going to eat this. Instead of dealing with this emotion, I'm going to eat this, because they kind of trigger the same receptors and make us feel better. So when you can learn how to eat to nourish your body and not just cover up your feelings, then you can actually process the feelings that you're having. And it's a really good way to get that emotion and energy out of your body. And then carve out space at home, create sanctuary in your space so that you have some place that you can go to just downregulate your entire system, to let your nervous system settle down, to let and drain off any energies that you're holding on to and feeling. And then use your oils to clear energy and set up boundaries for your own energy. So I'm going to talk about some of the really good oils we can do to do that. So On Guard is the oil of protection. It aids in warding off energetic parasites, domineering personalities, and other negative influences. It helps us to strengthen the inner self and inner resolve to stand up for ourselves and live in integrity. So I like to use On Guard over my heart, on my shoulders and the back of my neck. You can even take it up into your hairline and up into your skull. If you know that you're having a lot of, if you start to get headaches and things, like you're having a lot of nervous energy in your brain, you can use the On Guard to really relieve that. And it's also great, obviously, for your physical body and warding off viruses and bacteria and things like that. Tea tree is the oil of energetic boundaries. So it encourages us to relinquish forms of self-betrayal, including allowing others to take advantage of our time, energy, or talents, letting others feed off of our energy, and not standing up for ourselves or feeling responsible for the problems of others. So this one, again, is a good one to rub over your heart, to rub it on your neck and shoulders. This one is especially important if you are working with someone who is really just feeding off of your energy, or you're in relationship with somebody. And clove is the oil of boundaries. So people are like, what's the difference between energetic boundaries and boundaries? Clove is more of a physical boundary. Like, we all have a bubble. We all need a certain amount of space around us, and we feel really crowded and really uncomfortable if someone is in our bubble. So clove helps us to stand up for ourselves, be proactive, and feel capable of making our own choices regardless of what others are doing around us. It also just gives us this protection around us. So again, clove over the heart, on the shoulders, up into the neck. I really like to take the oils up into the, up to the crown of my head, kind of by the temples or wherever. Clove can be a really good way to do that. My hair is feeling this. Stronger is a kid's oil, a kid's blend, and it's the protected blend. It offers emotional fortification and rejuvenation and shields from intense emotions of others. When I was reading more about this one, I was like, oh, this one is so good for kids, because they do tend to be a little more emotionally open, a little more open to intense emotions. As we grow up, we sort of, we start to sort of block out other people's emotions. But as kids, we are sponges for other people's emotions, and we feel things so much more deeply. Do you guys remember wanting something for Christmas, or wanting anything, right? Like, you haven't wanted anything that badly since you were a kid, because you just feel everything so much more intensely as a child. So you'll feel other people's emotions as well. Yarrow Palm is the oil of energetic safety. So it creates feelings of emotional and energetic safety by shielding us from negative influences that drain our energy and strength. Yarrow Palm is a strengthening oil. It is really, really powerful for helping not only to strengthen our skin, and they used to use it in battlefields. When people would get hurt, they would put yarrow on the cut or the wound, because it was so powerful in giving the body strength to heal quickly. So it also lends that kind of strength and energy when we're working energetically. And then Holiday Joy is the oil of centered celebration. So especially this time of year, we can really feel a lot of emotion coming from being close to close family members, right? But this invites us to come together, experience the warmth and comfort of positive relationships, and it instills a desire for togetherness and reconciliation. So that is really what the holidays are about, right? Is that we want to be together. We want to experience warmth and comfort. And we're human beings are like herd animals. We want to be together. So oftentimes we feel like, I don't want to be, I don't want to be with people. I want to have solitude. Primally, none of us really want that. We need each other to survive. So having an oil that helps us remember to come together and be near each other is really, really powerful. Oregano is an oil of non-attachment. It cuts away negative attachments to other people, to relationships, to jobs, to anything that is not really serving you, that we're having a hard time letting go of. You can use oregano just with the intention of letting things go. And Terra Shield is the oil of shielding. It is the doTERRA's bug repellent, but it's also really, really helpful for protecting against energy. So I know people who they put a little bit of Terra Shield across their baby's forehead when they take them out in public, and the baby will fall asleep. And the baby's like, oh, I have my little bubble. I feel so much better. I'm so open to everybody's energy, and this gives them a little shield and a little way of like staying in their own space. So it helps us to separate our own energy from someone else's. Again, a little baby doesn't have that capacity yet. So giving them a little bit of help with the Terra Shield. I've watched people do this on their little children, and I'm like, wow, like they're really like agitated. You put a little bit on their forehead, they go right to sleep. So the empath blend that I created for Lucas, and you guys can write this down. I can also send you this presentation if there's some things that you want to remember. It's 10 drops stronger, 7 drops of holiday joy, 6 drops of on guard, 2 drops of tea tree, 1 drop of clove, 4 drops of yarrow palm. You can also, if you don't want to put all this together, you can purchase it from me for 20 bucks. Or you can play with your own blends. You know, I just gave you several different oils that you can play with. Just play around with what you have. Maybe you don't have holiday joy, but you have on guard and tea tree, and, you know, look at what you have and look at what you're trying to do and put together your own blend. And then I also have my Chakra Goddess collection, which is really, really powerful at helping to, okay, Laura, awesome. Thank you for coming. Laura says, I'd love to purchase. I have to sneak off, so let's connect. So love you. Thanks for coming.
Yay, love you too.
Thanks, girl.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, so great. Thank you guys. Bye.
So I also offer my Chakra Goddess collection, and this one is for supporting your chakras, which is where we tend to store a lot of trauma. This can be where a lot of our triggers will sort of come from. So knowing how to clear out the chakras is really, really powerful in helping us to work with our different gifts to put up protection of, again, just not being triggered at every little thing can be really, really powerful. These are also hormone balancing. So that's a little bonus. And Kara, are you ready to take us through this meditation?
I am. I have to tell everyone, like, if they don't have your chakra set, they need it in their life. I have watched it reverse so many full, like, emotional breakdowns in my household. It is a absolute must.
Thank you. I know I'm loving that Brendan is into it too. Kara's fiance is a huge fan of the chakra oils, and
oh yeah, he'll tell everybody.
Love it. Love it.
Okay, so to do this meditation, I recommend we have a nice upright seat with your feet down on the floor, or at least kind of hanging if you're short like me. Start by just taking a nice sighing breath. And you can close your eyes, or if that doesn't feel good, you can just let your eyelids get heavy. Let your breath start to bring you into the present moment. So if you can pay attention to the breath, you don't need to do anything different, but that focus will begin to bring you present and into your body. Start to notice the rise and fall of your chest and your belly. See if you can feel the air moving through your throat, through your nose, through the mouth. And then let your awareness move down your body to your hips and feel the seat beneath you. Let your awareness come down your legs and just notice, be aware of the bottoms of your feet. And then imagine in your mind's eye that you had beautiful, strong, supple, soft roots. And those roots could travel down into the earth really quickly. And they could travel all the way down to the very center of the earth in this beautiful space that is this rhythmic heartbeat. And you can imagine it, whatever color feels the most soothing for you today. And in this heartbeat center, there is liquid love. And it looks like a warm golden brown. And that liquid energy begins to move up your roots, sort of like a plant drinking liquid from the soil. You're drinking this energy, this loving energy from the earth. And it rises to the bottoms of your feet, and you can welcome it in, and it will move up through your legs. Warm, liquid, golden energy will fill your torso. And every cell in your body knows this energy, and it knows how to drink this energy in and be nourished and nurtured by this energy. And it can move down your arms, up your neck, to the top of your head. And then let's take a breath or 2 or 3 and just be in the presence of this grounding energy. Our magnificent physical bodies come from the earth. They are part of this beautiful physical planet. So it is really easy for them to tune to this vibration. And it can help to center things, to bring us back home to that space within ourselves that is calm and connected and loved. And then let's do a nice practice to just clear away whatever energy you might have picked up recently. Just like you might take off your shoes when you get home or brush off your feet on a little rug because you've picked up dirt throughout your day, we can pick up energy from the world around us and the other people that we come into contact with. So in your mind's eye, imagine a little rain cloud that floats over your head. And imagine that it begins to rain little droplets of shimmering, iridescent golden rain all over you. And just like washing clean in a shower, this little golden raindrops begin to wash all over you, and all the energy that isn't yours begins to wash away. It washes down and into the earth where it gets recycled into pure positive energy again. Let those droplets of rain begin to wash through you now, saturating into your body and draining all the way out. Just like a sponge where the water first runs off of the sponge and then eventually runs through the sponge. Allow all of this energy to just drain through you, clearing away everything that belongs to anyone else, everything that isn't yours, everything you're ready to let go of. And maybe you can see this in your mind's eye. Maybe you can visualize it. Maybe you can feel it. Or maybe you can just intend it. It's the same no matter what. And once it feels like all of the energy has washed clean, your rain cloud can float away. And let's take a few breaths and just revel in what it is to be in our energy only. Maybe this is a feeling you're used to, or maybe not. Notice how it feels. Memorize this feeling. And then let's bring in some beautiful, healthy protection before you go about into your day and into the world. In your mind's eye, imagine a huge ball of golden light around you, big enough that you could put your arms out and still have plenty of room. And we'll set up this ball of golden light intentionally so that anything that is negative or not of your highest good can exit the bubble. So if you have a negative thought, it can go out. And that everything that is negative and not of your highest good that's on the outside of the bubble just sort of sloughs right off, just bounces off and lands on the ground and falls away. But everything that is of your highest good, everything that is loving vibration, everything that is beneficial for you, it passes freely in and out as if there was no protection there whatsoever, so that you can still connect heart to heart with all the people in your world, with the world around you. And you can imagine as you go around in this golden ball of light, this golden bubble, that all the things that would impact you negatively are just sort of sloughing off the outside. Take a few breaths and let your system just relax inside this beautiful protection. Maybe you can raise the corners of your mouth and just have some gratitude in this moment. Take a sighing, audible breath or two before you open your eyes. Thank you all for trying this.
Thank you, Kara. That was beautiful. I got something in my eye right as we came out of it. And I'm like, oh.
We should have put that on the outside of the bubble. Dust
Right?
particles outside the bubble.
Definitely not in my eye. So what I would like to do now, I'm gonna go ahead and stop share so that we can kind of have some space together, is to go around and just do another check-in. So Catherine, we did a check-in at the beginning of just 2 words to describe how you're feeling right now, because I think it's really helpful to sort of narrow down what emotions might be there or what you're having, what experience you're having. So I'm going to just go around the circle, and Catherine, you can go last. I'm going to start with Terry again. Terry, how are you?
I'm good.
Are there 2 words to describe how you're feeling now?
Well, I'm more relaxed. And actually, it was very helpful. There was a lot of that. I didn't realize what it was. You know, when you take on emotions and energy from others and you don't know you're doing it.
Yep.
And the agitation that comes from that, you know, you don't know. There's been a couple experiences just within the last few years that just, you know, someone's experiencing something and I take that on and I can't let it go, you know, so that it was very helpful to know, actually understand it, and that you can just put it away because it's not mine.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
That was something I learned. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Sarah, are you in a place where you can check in? Hard to say. She is always so busy. How about you, Kara? Do you want to check in?
Yeah, I feel uber relaxed and so full of love.
Perfect.
Thank you.
What about you, Catherine? Oh, you're muted.
Unmute, sorry. Definitely more relaxed and definitely just tired. and know how much I need to get meditation back in my life.
Good. Good. Kara has an opportunity coming up where she teaches a meditation course. Kara, when does that open?
The cart will open at the end of January and the course will start beginning of March, right after our retreat.
Perfect. So that was the other thing I wanted to say is most of you are already connected to me, I think, but you can connect to Kara through Instagram, through Facebook. She has a new podcast that just came out, so I'm going to post that on my page too, which is really fun. And I got to be a guest on her podcast today. And then Kara and I are going to be working together to bring you Hot Mess to Goddess at Joyful Journey Hot Springs, which will be March 3rd through the 6th. It'll be a way of, we sometimes feel really betrayed by the hot mess that is our body. We can feel like we're living with this hot mess. And this is a way of connecting back in to the innate wisdom that is there. And instead of being really resentful and feeling like it's a betrayal, that we actually understand what a beautiful communication system our hormones are, our chakras are, and that we can really connect back into the goddess part of ourselves. And it makes that goddess so much more accessible. So we'll be doing that March 3rd through the 6th. And I'm so excited to work with Kara. And yeah. And thank you guys all for coming and joining us in person. Thank you all for joining us. If you're catching this on the recording, feel free to reach out to both Kara and or me if there was anything that you had any questions about, that you wanted to go deeper into, that you wanted to explore more. We love talking about this stuff. Kara, is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, just big smile on my face. So excited to get to know everybody more. And I know that, I mean, this work is life-changing, whatever you do with it, however you use it, just being able to understand that, you know, you're not crazy or too sensitive or anything else. You really are being impacted by so much more than you realize. And when you can start to have a little bit of tools around that and boundaries around that, it just changes everything.
It really does, in such a profound way, and makes it fun instead of being hard or of, you know, falling into anxiety and depression. We're like, this is actually really fun. Like, I'm having a good time. So thank you guys. I will let you go about your evenings, and big love to everyone.